Hey guys, Stephen here, and today I'm bringing you another episode of Better the Meta, and I'm going to be talking about, in this episode, how to beat Orks. So I'm going to give the Better the Meta a little bit of a twist today. What I've done is I've gone on 40kstats.com and I've literally downloaded the first and what I think is a very good competitive Ork list that is currently placing at events. So what you can see over here, I think if that's the right way, is the Ork list, and this is a list from Scott, and he played at the Storm of Silence in 2019, came third, so obviously it's a very, very good list. So I'm just going to give you my take on some of the things that this list is going to try to achieve, and what you can do to try and negate some of it. Now, obviously this is just my opinion, I might not be correct, and but this is how I would typically look at playing this. Okay, so let's run through the list quickly. Evil Sunz, first of all Battalion, so therefore it's going to give him 5 CPs. Evil Sunz gives a +1 to your movement in advance, okay, and charge, so that's pretty nice in terms of the extra movement. So they're going to be quite quick, and with that extra charge, whether they're coming in from, you know, jumping over or just running up the battlefield, they're going to be good. Then you've got a Warboss on bikes, which allows you to advance in charge. Okay, really, really nice. And then the Killa Power Claw, got some good combos there to, you know, that's going to be a pretty heavy hitter in regards to a bit of a glass cannon. So if he hits a knight or something, he's going to have a pretty good job at taking that down. He's then got that weird boy with the jump, so he can or teleport a unit across, landing 9 inches away, but they're only going to need an 8-inch charge because of the +1, and also they're going to get that re-rollable because of here we go. We've then got 3 units exactly the same 30-man boy squads. You've got a boss knob in there with a power claw. You've got 6 sluggers, probably because they never really make the combat, so it's just good to get the extra shots out. And then everything else is Slugga and Choppa for those extra attacks, and then 2 Tankbusta bombs. Okay, so really nice loadout there. 90 boys, and that's probably running up the battlefield, I expect. He might play it differently, but that's what I can imagine, is to really put a nice big threat on the table, and he'd be really good at scoring secondary objectives such as King of the Hill, because he's got lots of models, recon, pushing all that up together, okay, which is really, really nice. He's then got a big mech, and in the next detachment, a big mech with a custom force field. Again, that gives a 5-up invulnerable save. I'm not sure if it does transport over to the 90 boys. It may well do. If it does, then that's going to be pretty nasty to try and get through those orcs with a 5-up invulnerable save as well. But otherwise, he might be using that to protect his looters, and we'll get onto that. So he's then got the big mech shock attack gun, and he's also then got the souped up shocker, which is a really, really good shock attack gun, which can essentially fire twice. And if you roll hot with that, it's got the possibility of certainly taking out, you know, tanks, knights. So it's a really good long range on a character, so you can't target him. Then got 3 units of Gretchen for some more CPs, so he's rocking up at 13 CP so far. 15 looters, which I think is a really nice number for looters actually. It doesn't mean you're overcommitting to that one trick, and you're not relying on it solely. It means you've got some options, but it still can put out a lot of DACA in case you want to start hitting some units at range, flyers, things like that. Again, they can be hitting on 5s with exploding 5s, they can be firing twice, so it's a really nice list. We've then got the Waz Boom blast jet, which is quite cool as well, gives another custom force field, and that'll be flying around with the 2 DACA jets. So again, really good at hitting backfield objective holders, you know, getting behind there, because obviously orcs don't really have anything that ignores line of sight, so you can get around those buildings and clear you off if you've got engineers or something like that, or you're trying to score those backfield holders, which is really nice. Or what it might be doing is going forward, clearing screen, allowing the orcs to move forward. So it's a few options what you could do there with that much shots. And then also 2 more weird boys with the jump or smites, and because of the jumps, and the orcs might be dying quite a lot themselves, and he's probably took 3 weird boys with the jump, because of obviously there's so much character assassination now on the table. So he wants to make sure he's got that to jump option at all time, whether he's going to jump his looters, to jump Gretchen in front of his Ork boys to go for you know, the Gretchen shield rule. That's always useful as well, if you just to jump them over right in front as that sort of big mob moves forward. So he's got lots of options. You can play this in many different ways, okay? And also, because of weird boys will probably perils a lot, they could be killing themselves anyway. So that's probably why he's took 3 of them and not really worried about any other powers, because that's the power he needs. So it's a really, really nice list. So let's go over some top tips on how you can basically counteract this list. So for me, straight away, the number 1 boy that needs to go, you're probably not going to kill all 3 weird boys with character assassination, so you probably just want to focus on that big boss. That's either giving up the 5-up feel no pain, 5-up custom force field, or hitting the Warboss on Warbike and taking him out. And the reason for that is because A is Warlord, so if you've gone for old school, is a nice victory point there, and also what that means is that his boys now are no longer advancing and charging, they can just do one or the other, okay? So again, it makes that list a little bit weaker in terms of its maneuverability. So number 1, focus on your character assassination if you've got that in the list, you know, on that Warboss, okay? So the next thing you've got is you can pretty much ignore the flyers. They will be annoying, but I think the more shots you put on them, the you know, they're wasted shots essentially. You want to be really focusing all of your attacks on 1 unit of boys at a time, okay? What I would be doing is looking to ignore the looters, okay, because he's just going to essentially Gretchen shield and you're never going to get through them anyway. And he's got so many CPs. I think this list has got 3, if it's triple battalion, that's 15, but he's got about 18 CPs, but, you know, beginning anyway. So you're probably not with those grot shields unless you've got Vect or something like that. Then you've obviously got that ability to really tuck into those looters, and if you've got the opportunity with Ravagers, then you do that. You focus on the Ravagers, you Vect the Gretchen shield, and then you're going to remove those looters if possible, or go over with flyers where maybe the Gretchen aren't there or something, that's a way. Or if you've got any ways of mortal wounding like Imhotep's ability, something like that, where you can just drop mortal wounds on a unit, that would be quite good. However, what I would be doing in this case is looking to, and this is a very powerful combination when you've got maybe 90 to 120 orcs in the centre of the board moving up. What you want to be doing is essentially really focus firing on 1 unit at a time, taking it out, making it either fail to morale, or just eradicating it from the table so it can no longer move. And you'll basically then, from that point, you can movement block with other units. So you're going to feed them a very small unit, okay, maybe 5-10 men. You can feed them in that they know they're going to die, but not all of the guys are going to be able to fire. So that just means you can focus fire on 1, movement block the next one, and then make sure you're very well screened for the other unit that could jump over at any point, okay? So that's really what I'd be focusing on here, is really making sure then when that's 1 massive footprint on the table that's going to move in together. So what you want to be able to do is drag it through, like, you know, terrain or anything like that's really going to slow it down. Use movement blocking, and then really a sort of attack from different angles, and really you want to basically spread that apart, because as you do spread it apart, then it's going to become really, really weak. Now, the other thing that you've got to remember here is if you've got a combat army, is to make sure that you only do 1 combat at a time, okay? So if you're, for example, with Harlequins, if you're using those, Death Company, whatever it might be, some real hard-hitting characters, you want to only charge the orcs with 1 unit, okay, or against 1 unit. So rather than trying to charge multiple units, what's going to end up happening is you're going to give them the ability to fight first, because they'll just spend 2 CPs to interrupt and kill your unit that's just come in. So you're much better off waiting, shooting a unit, charging a unit with a counter punch, destroying the orcs, and then you'll probably lose that next turn, but then you can follow up with your 3rd unit, which your 2nd unit, rather than going in with both units at the same time, them not heroically intervening, basically spending 2 CPs to fight before you do, and eradicating your unit even before it gets to fight. So that's one thing that they're particularly good at. And the other thing that you need to be aware of with orcs as well is you need to understand that they're going to try to fight again, even if they've completely eradicated the unit that they charged. If they fight again, they can move another 3 inches, pile in towards the closest enemy model, and then they can consolidate another 3 inches. So that just gives them the ability to wrap and trap units. So you need to really make sure you're spacing your units out well. You know, one layer of screen is not enough if you've got a tank there or many tanks. Without the fly keyword, you need multiple layers of screen so that if they do go that, they're only going to touch, let's say, a 5-man screening unit, which you can afford to lose. And then you need to make yourself you've got plenty of room to fall back, and it's impossible for you to get wrapped as well. So that's the other thing that you need to make sure happens, is that, you know, you don't leave your units vulnerable for being wrapped. So you want to, you know, bunch them up quite tightly. That could be a good option. So there's different ways around that. Okay, so again, this 100 boy unit has to go. Once you've got rid of that, you're basically cutting off its legs, and it's going to really struggle to do what it does best, which is basically have board control. So you get rid of that board control, and now you're forcing the Gretchen to come out, you're forcing the looters to move, and as soon as you start to do that, you can then start to claim that victory. So expect them to get a very big lead at the beginning, but remember, you should kill more because they've got a lot of squishy units like the Gretchen, and that's one unit I try and focus on. If you had, you know, like something quick around the side, you can maybe got a unit of bikes or something, can go around the side, pick off a unit of Gretchen a turn, get you a kill, while everything else focuses on 30 boys. Okay, so you can basically guarantee yourself a butcher's bill, and then also Reaper as well, and that'll go together quite nicely. So there's lots of models. They will score quickly on the second, on the primary, but then, you know, hopefully by turn 3 you should be clearing most of those bodies off, and if you've screened well, all your units will still be intact, and you can then push forward and really start to remove them off objectives. But typically when it comes to, you know, playing Orks, you just need to make sure that you've got 1 or 2 units with a high amount of volume of shots. So Deathwatch do this brilliantly, Katachan guys with you know, infantry squads, or mortars do this really, really well, because obviously they can fish units out of buildings. You know, just anything with a high amount of volume of shots, okay, is going to be really, really effective. Scatter lasers are with Eldar. I'm just thinking Chaos have got like Terminators, great. So anything like that, make sure you've got a unit in there that can deal with maybe 30 orcs a turn. That's going to be one of those things that you need to be able to do, is kill 30 orcs in a turn, and then along with any sort of like Gretchen and other bits and bobs like that. Okay, so just ignore the you know, like the looters if you can, because they're just going to grot shield, and ignore those flies and really focus on the task in hand. Anyway guys, I hope this is helpful, and it's been of use. So we'll catch up on another one of these next month. So what I'll do in the Patreon page is pop in there, you know, what list you want me to go over, and also if you prefer this format of me taking one of the top lists at the moment and going over it, let me know, and we'll discuss another Better the Meta next month, and you guys get to vote on what I cover next. Anyway guys, have a great week, and see you guys soon.